wins, coming by way of knockout with only 2 defeats. Tonight, he is the proud challenger from Puerto Escondido, Colombia, Walter Estrada. And opposing him, boxing out of the blue corner, wearing his familiar black-colored shorts trimmed with gold. At the weigh-in yesterday, he scaled 8 stones, 13.5 pounds. He also has an outstanding record, 23 contests, 20 wins. 10 of those wins coming by way of knockouts, only 2 defeats and 1 draw. Coming to the ring as the former undefeated champion of Great Britain and the Commonwealth, tonight making the first defense of his championship, presenting from Cambuslang in Scotland, the 2-time WBO Featherweight champion of the world, Scott, the real McCoy Harrison. The referee, Mr. Rodriguez, will now give his final instructions.
Tremendous reception for Harrison, as warm as I've ever heard.
Okay, gentlemen, you got your instructions. I want you to obey my commands at all times, and I want you to protect yourself at all times. Now, good luck. Walter, te di las instrucciones. Quiero que obedezcas mis instrucciones todo el tiempo y te protejas todo el tiempo. Suelte, shake them up.
The impressive linguistic talents of referee Gino Rodriguez. Estrada, who comes from a little fishing village, population no more than 3,000 or 4,000, Puerto Escondido on the north coast of Colombia. But they've got a big gym there with 40 pros based there, including sometimes Irene Pacheco, one of the top flyweights in the world. Estrada can be a bit left arm happy. He's pretty rangy, almost lanky, you'd say. Harrison will have to get inside. Harrison says he's going to jump on him, but there might be dangers in that jump.
Yeah, he'll have to just maybe sample the power on his arms and gloves before he takes any silly chances. Though, having said that, Harrison doesn't do anything silly. He's very controlled, good pressure fighter. You can see it already. He's just boxing his way in. He hasn't jumped on this guy the way he jumped on Medina. I think he was in a bad mood that night with something to prove. So at least he's paying him full respect here.
Body shot getting in from Estrada. And a right to the body as well. Awkward style to work out by the look of it. Harrison's only seen bits and pieces of him on video, and of course he only knew about this opponent 9 days ago. And remember, Estrada, even if he hasn't mixed in world class, does have 15 wins inside 3 rounds. Worth thinking about. Whether he can cope when the water's this deep, we'll see.
I know I'm saying that Estrada is still a southpaw, so the same problems, but all southpaws are different, all have their own problems, and this fella throws punches from all over. So Scott will just have to keep tight as he's doing now.
It's a confident start, this, from Estrada. He looks to have quite a fast left hand. That's the hand that's done most of the damage for him in the wins he's chalked up so far. He's got a couple of defeats on his record that don't read so well, though. One against a journeyman, Jose Portillo, another against a novice pro, Andres Ledesma. That was about 2 or 3 fights ago. That isn't such smart form.
Scott finding it a little bit awkward to find the range, and that's normal against a southpaw. He just can't get himself into punching range. He's been caught with a couple of shots too. Nothing too dangerous or powerful, but good body shot.
Trying to work out the style of it, Scott Harrison, and while he's doing that, Estrada is going for him with that left hand. It's an uncomfortable opening first round there. Harrison quite easy to hit, being caught to head and body.
That was a solid shot, the left hand. Harrison does have a good chin, but doesn't want to take too many of these.
1 or 2 alarming signs here for Harrison in this opening session. If they thought Estrada was going to be some kind of dummy coming in at late notice, maybe they're going to have to think again. He's got something, I think.
Scott is pawing a little bit with the jab. He's going to have to snap in. This guy can throw the uppercut, which is probably the biggest danger to Scott Harrison because his chin's so low. Estrada in the first round here, far better than maybe we expected.
Yeah.
Can he sustain this?
And I think he won the first round, the Colombian too. They're nudging each other and pulling faces as if to say, hang on, what have we got here with this Colombian?
Well, look at the left hand, straight through Scott's guard. All through Scott's career, he has been a little bit easy to hit at times. That was one of the things we complained about, but normally he's throwing so many punches, you don't tend to notice it, but we certainly noticed it in the first round there.
Estrada in the red trunks, the late substitute opponent, who for some reason has had world rankings as high as 3 with the WBA at super bantamweight, the weight below this, although his camp insists he's always been a featherweight, so you can work that one out for yourself.
Well, Harrison is trying to circle to his own left to get outside the jab, but the problem for Scott is that most of the problems he faced came from the left hand, but having said that, he's doing the right thing, moving away from that, trying to nullify the jab.
Flower of Scotland rings around this Braehead arena as if to try to lift Scott Harrison. He needs to get closer. I would have think the body attacks might be the answer for him, but at the moment he's getting picked off from long range by these siding shots from Estrada, who's really going for it with the left hand. For a moment seemed a bit disconcerted himself, free with the head on the inside.
Yeah,
Estrada.
I was going to say careless, but I think that was a little bit more cynical than that, Estrada with the head. So, finding the range now. Best
punch yet from Harrison, that left hand. And this is a very gritty, hard man, Scott Harrison. Just looking at the face of Estrada, I just wonder whether there's some damage. It's on the blind side from us at the moment. Yeah, there is a cut.
Yeah, just a little nick, doesn't look much, but I mean, Estrada can't complain too much. He was the one who was a little bit fancy with the forehead a second ago.
Body shot from Harrison, who's starting to get in close. Estrada, by the way, was due to have fought tonight in Colombia, so he was fit and ready to go into action.
I think Harris beginning to catch that left hand to the body a bit better now. I think his defences are tightened up slightly. I think he was surprised, probably shocked in the first round.
Some of these punches straying a little bit low from Estrada as well. This is a bit better from Harrison, just beginning to get to grips with the problems being solved by the Colombian, who gets there with a left hand, and that rocked Harrison back momentarily. He looks very thoughtful after that.
That's a couple of times Scott has been shaken, visibly shaken. And Estrada still looking perfectly at home, not really too much troubled at all.
Well, it's a massive opportunity which has come out of nowhere for Estrada, so you can imagine his mentality going into this. He's right up for it.
See, Estrada is doing an unusual thing for a southpaw. He's countering Scott's jab with his own left hand, and Scott does not have the defence to cope with it. Most southpaws want to pull your jab and counter with their own jab. This fellow's countering with the left hand, and it's giving Harrison all sorts of problems.
It's not an easy style to cope with. He's quick as well, Estrada.
You don't have to be at the end of these punch all the time. You can be in and out, in and out, in and out. Okay. Look for your angles all the time.
Very cool and calm. Peter Harrison in the corner. This man knows what it's like to lose this title. He had a virus going in that night against Manuel Medina, lost the title, regained it from him, knocking Medina down 4 times and stopping him in 11 rounds in a great display. But this is another matter again. Of course, we've seen a Colombian late substitute come in before for this title years ago, Ruben Palacio. Remember him? He had 11 defeats on his record, dethroned Colin McMillan.
See, I think one of the problems too for Harrison, his work is not flowing against this awkward south. I'm calling him awkward, and that's probably, I should be more complimentary. He knows exactly what he's doing, but Harrison's having to force the work, and that's going to take more steam out of him. He's really having to force himself to try and get some results here.
He's going to have to be clever, I think, Scott Harrison. He's only fought 3 southpaws, as far as we can tell, looking through his record, and none at this level. Patrick Mullins was one, Smith Adoom, who had Harrison on the floor, and John Matthews. Estrada with a little nick by the left eye, it's nothing much.
He still has that confident look about his work. The face deadpan. Nothing that Scott has done so far has troubled him in the slightest. That left hand up the middle is still dangerous.
And he has that siding left hand. You could see how he's finished off opponents at lower level, can't you?
And the big problem still for Harrison, he cannot get himself into range without taking shots. Eventually, he's just going to have to declare war on this fella, but the fella's got the power to trouble him. He's shaken him a couple of times. This is turning into, at this moment, a little bit of a disaster for Scott Harrison. He can't solve this fellow out.
And what punches is he going to have to take on the way in if he does try to go to war with him?
Yeah, and as I say, he's been shaken a couple of times already. He cannot solve out the southpaw jab. And the thing is, it's not the jab that's giving him most of the problems, it's the countering left hand right up through the middle.
There was a low one there from Harrison. Keep them up, says the Chicago referee. Estrada is discomforted. I think Harrison will try anything he can to just dent this ring of confidence that Estrada carries with him at the moment.
See, again, as I've said before, Scott is not the most difficult guy in the game to hit with punches. His head is always that little bit stationary. He's an aggressive type fighter, so if his attacks are not working, he doesn't have really a plan B.
That's a bit better from Harrison as he gets in closer.
I think it's too late in the round, Ian.
Just for the first time, Estrada looked a bit disorganised. Some blood has smeared onto the forehead of Scott Harrison.
I think Estrada's worked in the first couple of minutes of this round. He's given it to him on my card unless Harrison comes up with something dramatic here in the closing seconds.
Look, he looks frustrated, Harrison. Still trying to solve the puzzle of the style that's in front of him. In arena, some drama here, quite a plot developing. Body shots landed. Estrada 21, Harrison 6 so far.
He cannot get close without taking shots, and I tell you, these body shots are going to take a lot of steam out of Harrison. Nobody likes body shots, I'm sure Harrison doesn't like them, and these left hands are landing bang on the ribcage.
You could say that maybe Harrison has got a share of one of these rounds so far, but my card has given all three to Estrada.
Well, I've given Harrison a share of the second, the other two to Estrada. But the thing is, the lack of success Harrison is having, he just can't solve this fellow, he cannot get into range. Estrada seems to have the perfect antidote to everything that Scott tries.
So when they picked this guy from the four they were looking at, did they make a mistake?
Well, it's early days, that's why they have title fights over 12 rounds, and Harrison is an excellent 12-round fighter, but I'm worried, as I said earlier, he's forcing his work, so he's going to use up a lot more steam than when your work is flowing. Still missing, still missing.
He's outreached as well. That's a big, big factor in this fight too. Plus the southpaw style, plus that fast, scything left hand. There it is again. And Harrison, not much head movement, pretty easy to hit with that, and just for good measure, Estrada pits in another downstairs. That's better from Harrison.
Another good left-handed to take in return.
So far, Harrison has looked frustrated and frankly ragged, but maybe he can turn it around.
Well, I'm thinking Colombia must be a tough school, because this guy's not even in the top three over there. And boy, he can certainly fight a bit good right hand from Harrison.
Maybe Harrison will start to get to him. There's another left sunk to the body from Estrada. Harrison has an answer this time and gets a little closer. Good footwork, getting himself into range. Estrada just seemed to be blinking uncomfortably there on the inside, I noticed.
You would think eventually Harrison's strength would start coming into play, maybe from the halfway stage. But already his face is fairly banged up from the punches he's taken. This is better.
Harrison got him with the right hand. Estrada had success before it. Just momentarily now Harrison's starting to get to him. Is he weakening this Colombian? It's not a knockdown, but he has a more thoughtful look about him. Is he just starting to unravel here, Estrada? I fancy Harrison has just started to get to him in this round. He suddenly looks weaker and a lot less confident.
Yeah, but he's still come back with a good left hand as Harrison moved in, but that was the little shining light that Harrison needed. Just give him one chance and he'll grab it with both hands.
Distress signals coming from Estrada.
Yep, there's a ragged look about him for the first time.
And he goes down this time. Very quickly up. Breakthrough for Harrison. He's had 3.5 difficult rounds with this guy, but I think he's beginning to feel the strength now. And Estrada is giving out a lot of distress signals as he goes back to his corner. He's blinking away, looking at the canvas.
Ian, if this was an old B movie, I would start to wonder what the plot was here. There were no signs whatsoever that he should want out of this fight. He was doing well. He get pushed to the floor, he didn't get punched to the floor. Good body shot there, which may have sickened him a little bit. But I've never seen a man's attitude change so drastically in a fight.
Unless he was caught by a shot on the inside that took more effect than we thought at the time.
But doing so well. I mean, it's only one punch. That was the good body shot. That was a bit of a sickener. But for heaven's sake, he's taking the count. You expect him to get back up. It's the way he was walking back to the corner, shaking his head as though he wants out of there. So this would be the perfect time for Scott Harrison to put his foot to the floor.
Now he might really jump on Estrada. He might struggle now to keep the fight at range, where he looked pretty effective in the first 3 rounds. Was the minute long enough? Something seemed to go out of the Colombian halfway through that last round. And he's now reeling back on the back foot and shipping punches, finds some fire. But this looks different now, a lot different. And down goes Estrada again.
5, 6,
The end could be near here.
9.
Gets up at 9. Doesn't look much like he really wants to go on, does he?
Why is he staggering? He hasn't taken a solid headshot. He wants out of there, but he's having a go now at least.
Tremendous toe-to-toe exchange, and Estrada came off worse. Harrison was accurate there, thumping home the hooks, scything punches. Down Estrada goes again, and it's called off in the 5th round. Scott Harrison retains his WBO Featherweight Championship. Blasting away Walter Estrada in the 5th. Well, it took him time to get going, but the end came relatively suddenly.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that body shot maybe took all the stuffing out of Estrada. It was a lovely shot, but I've never seen a fighter who's doing so well in a match crumble so suddenly from one, particularly a body shot, not even a headshot. He just seemed to lose all desire, wanted out of there. Scott still has his title intact, but I think a lot of questions will have to be asked. That was not a good Scott Harrison performance. He could not solve this guy out whatsoever. It wasn't really a conclusive finish. The guy seemed to collapse out of the fight. So Scott, we're saying you're amongst the top 4 or 5 featherweights in the world, but that performance will not underline it any in my book. Scott, not one of your better performances, but thankfully you're still champion.
Even bearing in mind he was having to fight a guy who's coming in at late notice, about whom he knew very little.
I don't expect Estrada was any more upward than a Belgian would have been. So Scott seems short of ideas, couldn't solve the fellow out, but this fellow just, he couldn't go with Scott. Scott is tremendously strong. You would expect this to happen in the second half of the fight. The sudden crumble probably took away the chance Scott had to put his mark on this fight. He struggled all the way through. The finish, I suppose, was conclusive enough, but I think Scott would much rather have done it in a cleaner manner.
The desire and self-belief suddenly went out of Walter Estrada in the 4th round, and the end came in the 5th. And Harrison now will look ahead. He does still have to defend against Abelyan, who's his mandatory challenger. He's a Gary Shaw fighter, and I think that fight will come up. Another southpaw, but a better southpaw than Estrada, who is his last desperate throw and was getting caught a lot. You knew the end was coming, didn't you, in the 5th?
Yeah, you could see the look on his face. You could see he had enough. He wanted out of there. But full credit to Scott. You give him one chance. He doesn't look for a second one. He takes it, and he didn't stop throwing punches.
Scott Harrison, no nightmare tonight. This time he holds on to the crown and can look ahead to bigger things. He says he wants to unify the title against the big boys of the division, led by Manny Pacquiao now, who is due to fight Juan Manuel Marquez in May, though that's by no means a certainty.
Ladies and gentlemen, after 1 minute and 3 seconds of round number 5, referee Gino Rodriguez has called a halt to the contest. In his opinion, Estrada was in no position to continue. Your winner, and he is still the two-time WBO Featherweight champion of the world from Cambuslang in Scotland, Scott, the real McCoy, Harrison. And a round of applause, please, for the game challenger, Walter Estrada. World Boxing Organization Supervisor Isvan Kovacs has presented the championship belt to the winner, Scott Harrison.
Through all the disruptions in the build-up to the fight, that's what it was all about, retaining his title belt, and he has done that. And one has to also point out that he got a fantastic reception from the Scottish crowd on his way into the ring tonight. And despite the questions raised during the performance, he's getting a fantastic reception, having won. But there are questions, and we'll be addressing them shortly. Lots of action still to come from here in Glasgow, featuring a couple of the young Scots trying to break through. Welterweight Gary Young tonight in action against Anthony Christopher, and Willie Lemond up at lightweight tonight against David Carlin. All that action still to come. But here comes the champion, flying the flag for Scotland again, and Ian is going to have a word with him now.
Well done, Scott. You've held on to the title, but for 3 rounds there, it looked like he was giving you 1 or 2 problems.
It wasn't giving us problems, you know. I think I had about 4 days' notice for this fight, for this opponent. So I didn't know what to train for as well near the day. But he could punch it, but you know, he had a good stoppage record, so I had to be wary of that, and it was a good fight. It was good to watch.
And he was taller than you and had a fast, quite powerful left hand by the look of it. He seemed to rock you in the second, that right?
No, he didn't rock us, no, maybe caught us a punch. I need to go and see the tape. But as I say, he can punch a bit, and it was good to get that one out of the road, because I thought I was fighting the Manders' challenger. But I don't know if that fight's going to happen. I don't know. I need to leave it up
against Aboyan. We'll find out about that. You seemed to get to him in the 4th round. All the belief and desire suddenly seemed to go out of him. What do you think caused that?
I think round by round I felt him weakening. Every round he was weakening a wee bit. You know, the legs were weakening, his punches were weakening. He didn't have that much snap in him. And before rounds, it was just, I felt as if he wasn't